Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash, and double honors to our elders and apostles of JMS of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Shalom, shalom. And this is Brother Nabali here with a lesson. All right. And this is an article from the People's Voice. All right. And pretty much it says here. All right. And this is also I want to say that this is for edification, uses only. All right. And it says, Insider warns Israel poises to stage false flag attack against U.S. to start war with Iran. All right. And so, you know, we know that according to the book of Jeremiah, all right, which we're going to get here soon after I read this article, all right, the scriptures say, that the least of the flock shall draw them out. All right. So let's read this. Let's get into some scriptures, and Lord's will that this lesson, is edifying. Okay. It says, according to a high-level military insider, Israel is secretly plotting a false flag attack on American soil, designed to blame to be blamed on Iran in a calculated bid to drag the United States into a full-scale war. Matt Bracken, a former Navy SEAL and geopolitical expert, shared these warnings during an interview on the Alex Jones Show, drawing on his military experience to highlight the risk of the escalation in the Middle East. Brackens compared a potential U.S.-Iran conflict to the Vietnam War, noting Iran's large population, over 80 million, and rugged terrain could turn any invasion into a prolonged, unwinnable quagmire, far worse than Iraq or Afghanistan. It says he referenced historical false flags such as the 1967 Israeli attack on the USS Liberty, which was alleged meant to draw America into the war, with Egypt as a blueprint for how Israel might target U.S. ships in the Persian Gulf today. All right, if I'm not mistaken, about this 1967, Israeli attack on the USS Liberty. If I'm not mistaken, pretty much, one of America's Navy ships was attacked at that time. All right, and it was attacked by the Israelis. All right, to try to blame it, on Egypt. All right, so America could get into a war with Egypt. All right, so this is pretty much the same thing that's you know being put out there. That there's a possible chance that Israel could stage a false flag attack. All right, or the small hats attack against the U.S. or to start war with Iran and to blame it on Iran. All right, so we know in the book of Jeremiah 50 and 45. All right, which we'll get. All right, let's get Jeremiah 50 and 45. Okay. And it says here, therefore hear therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh Bashim Shai that he had taken against Babylon. All right, and this is talking about Babylon the Great. All right, America. All right, the modern day Babylon. All right, and it says, and his purpose, that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. All right, and this is Yahweh Bashim Shai's purpose. All right, against the land of the Chaldeans. All right, and the Chaldeans represent, the rulers. All right, the rulers that are high power. All right, the kings of Babylon the Great. All right, the elites. All right, it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. all right, and that least of the flock, represents Israel. Okay, that's who the least of the flock is. All right, you know, everybody knows that America is allies with Israel. All right, so if Babylon goes to war, Israel's gonna hop in. All right, if Israel goes to war, all right, America's gonna hop in. Okay, because they're allies. And it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Okay, because America is gonna get wiped off the map completely. Okay, America is not gonna be inhabited ever again, according to the Book of Revelations. All right, and Israel, all right, is going to get hit too. All right, but the difference between America and Israel, all right, is that where the 1948ers reside at, all right, is that Israel is going to be built back up again. All right, Israel's going to be built back up again, and Israel is going to be, you know, is going to be our home. It's going to be our home. How can I say it? It's going to be our capital, pretty much. All right, and it says, at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations, man. All right, and it tells you, all right, that in the book of Revelations, that the other nations are gonna wail, all right, and gonna cry, all right, because they're not gonna be able to buy from this place anymore, all right, which we could get in the book of Revelations 18. All right, so America is gonna be utterly destroyed, man. All right, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. It's prophecy. All right, let's see. Let me see. And I heard a voice saying, "Partake in her sins," and she like before. What is the Revelations? Lament for Babylon is what's 13 flower and the fruits. Um, what is it? We could start at all right, we can start here. It says Revelations 18. It says, "For in 1 hour, so the great riches is come to naught." All right, 1 hour, and not meaning to nothing. All right, that's Babylon's gonna be destroyed. All right, it's gonna be completely wiped out. It says, "In every shipmaster and all the company and the ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off." All right, because Babylon is pretty much a place where these other countries are, this is where they make their money. All right, this is where they trade and make their money, off of Babylon the Great. All right, and it says, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, "What city is like unto this great city?" All right, and Babylon is known, as that great city. All right. Matter of fact, let me see. Let's see. Um, uh, mm, no, that's not it. But and it says, verse 19, Revelations 18 and 19, and they cast dust on their heads. All right, this is the point. And they cast dust on their heads. All right, and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, at last, that great city wherein were made rich." All right, you see, these how these other nations are, made rich. All right, through Babylon the Great. All right, which these other countries, commit uh, fornication. All right, with the whore, man. All right, by doing business. All right, with this place. All right, and it says, weeping and wailing and saying, at last, the great city wherein were made rich. all that had ships in the seas by reason of her cautionless for 1 hour, and she made desolate, man. All right. So it's only going to take 1 hour for Yahweh Shemel Shai to destroy this place. All right. So, you know, this place is going to be desolate, man. All right. But the point is, of this whole, you know, article is, the least of the flock, all right, is going to draw in Babylon the Great, all right, to go to war with Iran, all right. It could be a false flag, anything can happen, all right, to go to war with Iran, okay? And ultimately it's going to cause America to be destroyed, all right? Because the scriptures tell you, you know, Russia, China, all these other nations are allies, all right, with you know, Russia and China, are allies with each other. All right. So if Iran, if U.S. is involved, with a war with Iran, then China's going to get involved, and all the other allies. All right, of Russia, according to the book of Ezekiel 38. All right. So let's get Jeremiah 50. Let's go back to 45 and let's read that one more time. It says, "Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh Shemel Shai, that he had taken against Babylon, and his purposes, that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." All right. It says, "At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among all nations." Man. All right. And like we read in the book of Revelations 18, it's because these other nations won't be able to trade or do business with Babylon anymore, Babylon the Great, because America is going to be wiped off the face of the map. All right, the face of the earth. Okay, so let's go back to this article here. It says, let's read this again. It's a short read. It says, according to the high-level military insider, Israel is secretly plotting false flag attacks, all right, on American soil, designed to be blamed on Iran in a calculated bid to drag the United States into a full war, all right. And that's always been Esau Edom, all right, to plot things. Okay, let's get the book of Micah. All right, these devils, work it, iniquity, work it evil, upon their beds, man. Let's get the book of Micah 2. Let me see. Here we go. Right here, boom. It says, "Woe to the oppressors," is judgment against the wealthy oppressor, right? It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand." All right. It says, "And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, and even a man and his heritage." All right. So the point is, these devils, they plan, evil. All right. That's what they do. They plan evil, man. All right. Because, they have the authority to do it. All right. Because you go back to the book of Genesis. All right. His blessing is the sword, man. All right. So he, that's his power. His power is in the blessing of the sword, to be able to take away, the resources, of other countries. All right. To take over the countries, because actually, there's another article that I read, pretty much, or seen, that Venezuela holds 17% of the world's oil. All right, and so that's pretty much why America, all right, is going in, all right, and bombed Venezuela, all right, and started war with Venezuela, man, because of the oil that is in Venezuela. All right, so that's what they do. Esau Edom, man, they covet fields and take them by violence, man. They take things that don't belong to them. All right, because they're covetous, man. All right, they want things that don't belong to them, and they do it through violence. All right, so these devils, man, they think of evil plans, they plot. All right, that's what they do. All right, and that's pretty much what this article is saying. All right, so don't be surprised. All right, if there is a false flag, all right, that's taking place. All right, here in the U.S. All right, that these small hats are behind and blaming on Iran, so America can go to war with Iran. All right, and also too, let's go to ChatGPT real quick. I wanted to bring that out. ChatGPT. Let's go to ChatGPT. Let's see what will happen if America gets into a full-scale war with Iran. See here. It says if America were to get in a full-scale war with Iran, the consequences would likely be severe, complex and global. Here's a careful breakdown. It says direct conflict. The U.S. has a technological and conventional military advantage, but Iran has asymmetric capabilities, missile drones, small naval forces, and underground facilities. It says regional escalation. Iran could attack U.S. bases in the Middle East, Iraq, Syria, Kuwait, Bahrain, and allied nations. Proxy wars. Iran may mobilize allies like Hezbollah, Houthis in Yemen, and militias in Iraq and Syria, leading to broader regional instability. All right, it says too economic impact. Right, it says oil prices. Iran sits near the Straits of Hormuz or Hormuz, through which 20% of the global oil passes. All right, it says any disruption could spike oil prices worldwide, causing fuel shortages and inflation. Man, all right, so if there's conflict out in the Middle East, all right, they could close the Straits of Hormuz. All right, and pretty much if that happens, that's going to cause oil prices to skyrocket. All right, that's going to cause gas to go up. All right, it says sanctions and trade disruptions. Sanctions and trade disruptions. Already under sanctions, Iran could further restrict oil exports, affecting global markets. All right, global markets. A war would trigger stock market volatility, supply chain issues, and financial uncertainty. It says humanitarian crisis. Civilian casualties, both in Iran and conflict zones in the Middle East. Refugees. Neighboring countries may see an influx of displaced people. Infrastructure damage. Cities, hospitals, utilities could be heavily affected in Iran's targeted areas. Geopolitical implications. U.S. allies, NATO, Israel, and the Gulf countries may get involved or be forced to respond. Russia and China. All right, here we go. Both may oppose U.S. actions diplomatically or indirectly support Iran, potentially escalating into a large global conflict. All right, that is a world war. All right, what does the scripture say? We'll get that. Terrorist attacks against U.S. Interests worldwide could increase. All right, but this is it says here Russia and China both may oppose U.S. actions diplomatically or indirectly support Iran, potentially escalating into a larger global conflict. All right, so that's pretty much a world war according to the book of Revelations 11-14. All right, the scripture says the second world is past, but the third world cometh quickly. All right, and we know that Russia and China are allies with Iran. Okay, it says domestic impact. All right, in the U.S., military casualties, thousands of Americans, blah 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 blah. All right, learn turn. All right, so the point of these two, pretty much, if America gets into a full scale war, all right, with Iran, it could cause a global conflict. All right, there'll be more T attacks. All right, oil prices will go up. Because they close down the Straits of Hormuz. All right, so you know this devil man. He's making moves. All right, and through the spirit and power Yahweh Shemel Shai Basham Kakodash. All right, it's through him, that's putting in the minds. All right, of these devils. All right, to make these moves, man. All right, so let's go. Let's get the all right, let's get back here again. Get back to this article. Uh, let's see. Is there? Let's see if there's any more points. Seeing it says here, warning. It says Israel may launch false flag attack on U.S. ships to force Trump into direct war with Iran in the coming weeks. Warns military geopolitical expert Matt Brackens. All right. Oh yeah, let's go back to here. I want to look this up real quick. It says hold on, I want to see. It's the 1967 Israeli attack on the U.S. Liberty. Let me see. Let me get this real quick. Copy. Let's get here. Okay, so this is what happened in 1967. All right, it says the 1967 Israeli um, attack on the USS Liberty is a controversial historical event that happened during the Six-Day War. Here's a careful breakdown. So it happened June 8, 1967, in the Mediterranean Sea near Sinai Peninsula. It says the USS Liberty, a U.S. Navy intelligence gathering ship. It says attackers, Israeli Air Force jets, and Israeli Navy torpedo boats. Right. It says Israeli forces attacked the U.S. Liberty with aircraft and torpedoes, killing 34 crew members and wounding 171. It says the ship was clearly flying a U.S. flag. All right, the ship was clearly flying a U.S. flag, though Israel later claimed it was mistaken for an Egyptian vessel. Man, all right. So that's Esau Edom, man. All right, Esau Edom. He this is the devil spoken of in the Bible. All right. This ship clearly, had, a U.S. flag on it. All right. And yet they're claiming that, they thought it was an Egyptian vessel. All right. So that just goes to show you, man, that these devils, man, they plot things, man. All right. So don't be surprised if something like this happens again, man. The scriptures tell you, there's nothing new under the sun. All right. This devil, this serpent is going to come with the same tricks over and over and over again, man. All right. Now, this is what is the Israelis' explanation. It says Israel stated uh, it was a mistake, claiming they thought the USS Liberty was an Egyptian ship in the midst of the Six-Day War. Israeli government apologizes and paid compensation to the victims' families and to the U.S. government for the ship. U.S. investigation. Multiple U.S. investigations concluded that it was likely a case of misidentification, though some details remain suspicious. Communications, visibility, and the ship's markings. Controversy persists because the Liberty was in international waters. All right, the ship's markings and nationality should have been visible, right? Because it said there was a huge U.S. flag on it, right? Survivors and some U.S. officials claim the attack may have been intentional, possibly to prevent the ship from intercepting Israeli military plans. It says the USS Liberty was heavily damaged but stayed afloat and was eventually repaired. Diplomatic tensions rose briefly between the U.S. and Israel. Many crew members and some historians argue that the full truth about why Israel attacked the Liberty has been fully acknowledged. It says consider one of the most controversial and friendly fire incidents in modern U.S. history. Survivors and some researchers claim that it was a cover-up, right? While officials report maintain it was an accident. The incident is frequently cited in discussion about the U.S. Israel relations intelligence operation and the risk of wartime and misidentification. All right, so man, this was we know Esau Edom is a deceiver, man. We know that Esau Edom, he is smooth with his words, but war is on his heart. All right, so this was definitely, an inside job, man. All right, so don't be surprised if something like this takes place. All right, again, okay, to bring U.S. in the war. Okay, like we read in the book of Jeremiah 50 and 45, man, the least of the flock shall draw them out. Draw who out, man? Draw Babylon out, into war and bring them into a full scale war. All right. So, you know, um, let's get the book of Revelation 6. All right. And we'll finish off with that. All right. Let's see if there's any more points I want to make. It says, boom, Sage instantly blamed on Iran could really. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much the point. All right. You got to be vigilant, man. All right. Let's get that, matter of fact. All right. Uh, uh, Vigilant. Slug it. Vigilant. 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 Is it vigilant? Let me see. All right, Shalakia. Now we're just gonna get the Book of Revelation 6. All right, because I didn't want to make this too long. All right, I just wanted to get to the point. All right, Shalakia, if I'm all over the place, but I pray that this lesson is edifying to you, brothers and sisters. All right, this is Brother Nabali here. All right, let's get Revelation 6, and let's jump down to 6 and 3. All right, it says the second seal war. All right, and it says, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." All right, and it says, and there went out another horse that was red. All right, and that red horse represents, Esau Edom. All right, and it says, and power was given to him that sat thereof to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. All right, because you go back, like I said in the book of Genesis. All right, Esau Edom was blessed with that sword. All right, we read in the book of Micah 2:1. All right, that the power was in his hands. Okay, because he was blessed with that sword. All right, so this red horse represents Esau Esau Edom. All right, starting with the elites. All right, the Bacon families. All right, the warmongers. All right, power was given to them, man. All right, to take peace from the earth, man. That's exactly what these devils are doing. All right, it's taking peace from the earth. All right, they're going to be at war with each other. You know, things like that, man. This devil is what does the scripture say? The scripture says that what does it say? Is it Habakkuk? Um, is it Habakkuk? Uh, he transgressed it. He cannot stay at home. What is it? Through his wine, he transgressed it through his wine. Slocky, now I gotta get it. Let me see. Transgresseth. Transgresseth. See what it is. Let me see. Slocky. Damn, what is it? Is it Micah 1 and 2 or Malachi? Man, hold on, now I gotta try to find it. What is it? It's Malachi. Be departed, stumble. It's Malachi or Micah. Hold on, let me see. Shalakia. Go to the internet here. Damn, where's my internet at? Here we go. Transgressive wine. Slovakia. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Slovakia. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk 2 and 5. Habakkuk 2 and 5. I was right. Habakkuk 2 and verse 5 already says, it says, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, all right, you know, and you know, he through his, you know, he's transgressed through his philosophies, you know, and his doctrines, all right. It says he's a proud man, all right, neither keep it at home, all right. He's in everybody else's business, all right, just like I mentioned, you know, what he's doing in Venezuela, all right, going over there, you know, trying to take the resources. All right. It says, who enlarges his desires is hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. All right. So you know, pretty much this devil, you know, is greedy, man. All right. He wants everything that's not his. All right. He wants to have control, you know, of the world, man. He wants to have control over all these other nations, man. All right, in their fields. All right. So, yeah, man. You know, this is part of this devil. You know, pretty much. You know, taking peace from the earth, man. You know, this devil got military bases in every other country around the world. All right. So that's part of this devil. You know. You know, pretty much. You know. Uh, um. You know, pretty. That's pretty much this devil's. You know. You know how this devil pretty much. You know, has his power. All right. Through his military. All right, through his military, man. All right, that's it. Okay, so you know, man. You know, the point of the video, though, you know, the spirit, you know, flows, you know, like water, man. So, you know, I just pray that this lesson was edifying to brothers out there and sisters out there, you know, that are listening. You know, feed the flock. All right, and you know, the Wadi Al Bashim Al Shah for allowing me to do another lesson. And this is Brother Nabala. You know, to the next lesson. Shalom, shalom.